I couldn't help myself. I've had a little extra time on my hands, and aside from making YouTube videos, I've also spent some of that time on Etsy buying new plants. I had 2 new calatheas arrive from Plant Emporium on Etsy this week. I've never seen plants packaged quite like this when they come bare root. And it was actually ingenious. It was really easy to open these up. The first is a halo. And I know it looks like a corona, but it is a halo. And I don't think these are commercially produced anymore. So I think the seller was able to get a hold of some. And I'm excited about that because I have seen them, but never for sale. I've just seen pictures of them. And then a little out of stock sign usually on a website. So this was exciting. The green inside of the halo is different than the corona, and it almost is a tealish blue, which is amazing. This second Calathea is a Calathea margarita. It has those markings on the leaf, maybe the variegation that reminds you of a shine star or a Marion or even a medallion, a silhouette. However, notice that the back of the leaves are green. They are not a purple burgundy color. And so, of course, they're coming bare root, like I mentioned, because shipping into California when it comes to house plants, it's a lot more relaxed than other types of plants. However, they don't want soil being imported into California from other regions. I also have a little conundrum. It's not a conundrum, but it's not what I would pick. I've got 2 terracotta pots that I can pull out of my sort of home inventory of plant supplies. And this is not what I would put a Calathea in most of the time, especially a Calathea that has the green-backed leaves. I've noticed they're a lot more sensitive to water stress. And for me, I'm really good at keeping Calatheas in glazed ceramic. That's the environment that I've been able to keep my Calatheas the most healthy in. Whereas with kind of terracotta, I've had more issues with water stress and with humidity. So I'm feeling a little bit nervous. Not so much for the halo, but certainly for the margarita. I already have in my mind visions of crispy brown leaves and tears. Hopefully we'll get to that. I did think about ways that I can address it as the plants were shipping. But notice this color in the center of the halo. It doesn't have the same amount of, I guess what I might say is yellow in the green. It looks to me a little bit more blue, and in some spots and light almost teal. It's a different color, and it's really beautiful. As I start potting this up, my main concern is that I get this Calathea at the perfect height in the pot, because I showed you my Calathea collection in a video a couple of weeks ago now, and I had to show you that a couple of the Calatheas were potted way too high in the pot, and I was so upset with myself for doing that because it makes watering them very difficult. It's just not good. And so I was a lot more careful having done the collection video and seeing some of my past mistakes. I will be repotting those Calathea this spring. However, I get the halo in and it looks good. It's sitting about where I want it. It's not too high and it's not too low. I was able to get it in the pot fairly easily. And you notice I don't strip the roots down. I tend not to do that when I'm potting up a bare root plant that came that way. And the new growth that you see that it's emerging from the potting soil, it's just easier to be gentle. When you get a little bit too invasive with the roots, it's very easy to break off that new growth that's coming out of the rhizomes. So that's something that I've done once or twice and really try to avoid now. Of course, I need to add a little bit of water. The soil, the roots actually on this plant were a little bit drier than the other one. And so I wanted to, of course, get water in here right away to both get the plant what it needs and also just to take a look. I tend to have these kind of pockets where I have to add more soil that border around the root ball, because I am pretty careful about not compacting the soil as I'm putting the plant in here to the pot, because Calatheas are very sensitive to compacted soil. Here's my focata, by the way. It's got 2 new leaves emerging. And of course, the halo also has new growth that's coming in. Very pretty. And so this is the first one done. It's looking good. The contrast with the terracotta pot, the green and the purple, I mean, there's so much complementary stuff happening. I'm excited now to see what the margarita looks like being all green. What is that going to look like against the terracotta? So on to Calathea number 2. Getting this nice and ready. I sped up the footage here just because I didn't think you wanted to see me in real time put all of the soil in. But do notice I'm being pretty careful. I'm sifting through the soil as it's going into the pot just to make sure. I went through and made sure there wasn't any clumps, but I'm really going through it again. And you saw that new growth poking out of the packaging here. That was a really clever way to keep it from getting bent or crushed in shipping. It worked, and it was easy to actually get out of this bag. And so you see me here adjusting the plant, and it's sitting too low right now. And so I'm going to add a little bit more potting mix to elevate it about another, I would say, 1/4 to 1/2 inch sitting up in the pot, so that I'm trying to think about how to describe that, where the base of the plant that emerges from the soil is at the same level as the lip around the terracotta pot. So that's what I'm aiming for, and that's what I've been less successful with in the past, usually because I'm going a little bit too quickly. So I'm taking my time here, and it's looking good. I'm very happy with it. It's a beautiful, healthy plant. Again, I'm seeing flashes of crispy tips in the future and feeling a little anxiety about that, and also feeling like I do have a good plan. So I'm not going to let myself get too worried about that just now. Instead, enjoying how beautiful these plants are and what welcome additions they are to my collection of calatheas. I can't resist calatheas, I have to tell you. The one that I can resist is an orbifala. I don't have any desire, and that's because pretty much everyone that I see over time that people have ends up just completely crispy. It feels like impossible to keep that thing looking good. So that I'm not tempted to pick up, but otherwise I just can't resist calatheas, especially a margarita and a halo, which I just don't see for sale that much. So here we see, again, very similar areas in the pot after watering where I need to add a little bit more soil. Again, you don't want to compact the soil with a calathea. When you do that, it becomes very difficult for the roots to take in oxygen, and the calathea gets dramatic and it falls over and scares you to death. So, be a little bit looser with that potting soil for a calathea, and then, give it some water and see where you need to add a little bit more, as opposed to pushing down and really pressing the soil down as you're potting. The margarita, though, is so beautiful. When I put them side by side, I still have reservations about the terracotta pots, and have to admit that these complementary colors between the leaves, the backs of the leaves for the halo and the terracotta, they catch your eye immediately as soon as you enter the room. Just beautiful. And as you can see the color on the halo, these leaves, just look at that. There's even a gradient in the center. It is so amazing. I mean, this looks like something that I have photoshopped, but I haven't. This is what the leaves actually look like. These varying colors, and you see this beautiful teal pushing through. It is so gorgeous. Never thought I would be able to get a halo because, again, I knew that they weren't really being sold commercially as much. This margarita, look at that. The center reminds me a little bit of a Maui Queen, but you see that on a lot of the kind of medallion style leaves. But just beautiful, and the variegations just like brush strokes. It's like art to me. These are some of the most beautiful plants in the world. I would say calatheas would be my most coveted plant in the world. I think they're just beautiful. I can't resist them, like I said. And these 2 additions are welcome. I need a little bit of peace in my life. I need some happiness right now. And I'm hoping that you're finding things that bring you peace and that bring you happiness. Until next time, be well and take care.